Hey everybody. I know it's late. Um I just saw a video on TikTok that hurt my soul. Okay? Oh, and I'm crooked. Look at God. Um and in this video, this guy was stating how he was abused in foster care. And personally, I wasn't adopted. I had my mom and my grandmother and my brother. But the amount of hurt that he carries to this day was truly heartbreaking because he wasn't loved and he wasn't cared for. And, well, he was cared for pretty much bare minimum. And it was really heartbreaking and an eye opener for me to see that video because this has been going on for decades. My grandmother was a social worker for many years. All throughout my childhood, she was a social worker. I went with her on one case that she was working where she had to remove a child from the home. Now, this was many, many, many years ago. And as a child, I didn't I didn't fully understand the situation. She explained it to me on a level that gave me insight and understanding. But as an adult, I know a person that I know personally that has adopted children. And he does everything he possibly can to give unconditional love, real parenting. There's no abuse. And we've talked about some of the things that one of his kids are doing. You know, kids act out. And I was one of them. And there is so much abuse of children and minors. Same thing. It's late. That these children aren't being heard. These children have no safe place. And when they try to let it be known, the adoptive parents silence them with threats, abuse, and abuse comes in many forms. It's mental, emotional, physical, psychological, and so much more. Me personally, I have no issues. Oh, that noise is my vacuum. It's doing its thing. I have no issue being a person that fights for silenced children. And it's not even adopted children all the time. It's someone's born child that goes through these things. And because of what's going on, they have no voice. And that angers me. That hurts me emotionally because I'm aware of it. And I know so many children that have gone through abuse. I'll be your voice. I will be the one that battles these people. I have a personal experience with the loss of a child. And it left an emptiness in me. It left an emptiness in my heart. And to this day, it still hurts because he was born on my birthday. And he died in my arms holding on to my finger. And an odd thing, he wasn't crying. He was fully alert, fully cognizant, and from what I thought, healthy. Because his mother was on every type of drug she could get her hands on. Which epically changed my life on every level. So, I don't mind fighting for these kids. I don't mind being the one that does battle for them. I don't mind being their voice. Can you, I hope you guys can still hear me. It's sad, honestly. It's sad and heartbreaking. Because these kids don't ask to be born. These children don't. I mean, there is nothing a child could possibly do to. You can't go up the vacuum or go up the lamp. There is just no way physically possible for you to roll up the lamp. And these things are supposed to be smart. Okay. It's seriously heartbreaking that these kids don't have a voice because they're being silenced. There's a lot of crap going outside right now, and I'm over it. It's really sad because they grow up with this hurt and this pain, and they carry it with them throughout their life. And even though some go through therapy, therapy can't help everything. And the first thing therapists want to do is put them on a medication. You can't band-aid trauma. You can't band-aid psychological, emotional, mental, physical abuse. You can't band-aid trauma. But at the same time, when you are trying to help someone through their trauma, you can't attack them. You can't say, well, you know, what what transpired. Making them relive it is keeping it fresh. Yes, it has to be dealt with. Yes, it has to be addressed. Yes, it needs to be made known to them that they didn't cause it. They didn't. There is nothing a child could possibly do to earn such abuse. I would love to adopt siblings just to keep them together, to give them a loving home, to give them care, compassion, sympathy, empathy, and strengthen them and encourage them. Because that's something that is rarely done. And coming from the home that I came from, I wouldn't do it for a check. Because children aren't supposed to be used as a financial gain. And with the type of abuse that some children go through in adoptive homes is it's atrocious. It's disgusting that these kids are subjected to all of this abuse and all of this trauma that they have to live through and live with for the rest of their life that will damage them in their adult life. The video I saw on TikTok was very hurtful because this young guy is still carrying the trauma that was dished out to him and his sister. And that's what siblings do, especially for the younger siblings. They protect their siblings from the abuse as best they can. And even talking about it's hurtful. Because right now, there is nothing I could physically do to protect them or to show them that they are loved. Right now, at this moment, there's nothing I could physically do. If I could take the hurt and the pain and the trauma from them so that they would never know what that is like, I would. And to every adoptive parent that loves their children as their own and does everything they can to make sure they're taken care of, they're loved, they are treated like they are a gift and not told, you're lucky I adopted you, because without me you wouldn't have family, you wouldn't have anybody, you wouldn't have a home. Being a child growing up hearing that, I don't care if it's just one time, that stays with them throughout their life. And I wish that I can protect them from that. I wish I could shield them from going through the trauma. And I know with this video, among other videos I've done, I am upsetting a lot of people. I am calling them out on their bullshit. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Because when you're wrong, you're wrong. And putting children through trauma, I don't care if they're adopted, I don't care if they're visiting, I don't care what the situation is. These children need to be cared for, they need to be protected. If they're adopted or there is a social worker involved with you and a child or children, those children need to have a voice. They need to be heard. Because when you don't have a voice and you grow up with abuse on any level, in any form, and the trauma, that hinders them from being able to have a voice later on in life, in their teenage years, their adult years. It it hinders them, and that's what people don't let sink in. That's what people don't grasp. And just because it was done to you, that doesn't mean you need to carry on doling out. That is a very large hand. I mean, that hand was like here. That was like 3 times, no, 12 times the size of my hand. So let that be the reason. Um, Even kids that I see around where I live, they're being yelled at, cussed at, threatened. Children, you don't have to do that to children. If you sit them down and, talk to them and actually spend time with them and raise them, you don't have to yell, cuss, fuss, threaten, put your hands on them, or use anything else to chastise them. And CPS now, a lot of the social workers don't do what they're supposed to do for the children. A lot of social workers are just there for a check. Yes, it takes strength to remove a child or children from a home, but where's your compassion? Where is your love? Where is everything good in a person to want to do everything they can to protect these kids? There's this girl or woman that lives in my complex that is rarely home. Her kids are out around the property running amok. They're in the parking lot playing and running between cars. And every few months or so, she's got a new boyfriend living in her house. And just seeing it, just being aware of it, it is ridiculous. Because a lot of people have children just for a check, because they don't want to go through a lot of the financial situations that a lot of us are facing. And it's harder with inflation. It's harder when you live on your own and you're working. Kids need school supplies, school clothes, food, this, that, and the third. Everything a child needs to be taken care of. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it can be frustrating. My sister has four, and yes, she's tired. Yes, she's stressed. She does not take it out on her children because she made the choice to give birth to them. Children are a blessing. They are not meant to be your workhorse, your slaves. They are not meant to be, you know, your type or your I don't even know what to call it because parents, adults that have children. Oops, I almost dropped it. Um, really don't have the love and compassion and care within them to pass on to their children. To this day, my mom is my best friend. We sit and talk about any and everything. Now, granted, some of the things, she may not want to talk about or hear coming from me or my brother, but I'm very thankful to have that bond and that relationship with my mom. And so many children don't have that. They go to bed without having dinner. They go to bed, after being beat. They, it angers me to a point that I wish I could have social workers investigate it. If you're just there for a check and you're just doing the job for a check, you need to resign. You need to. Because you're getting paid an X amount of dollars, but you're driving around in a Mercedes, you're driving around in a Range Rover, a BMW, and, and you're literally doing what's in the interest of the adult and not the child. And it's sickening. My grandmother did what was in the best interest of the child or the children. That's what she did. I witnessed that with my own eyes. This kid that she had to remove from the home was about 3, maybe 4. And she had the car seat in the back seat. I was sitting in the front, and this little boy was sitting behind me. If this vacuum says it's stuck again, hold on, give me one. Um, and even as a child, hearing him cry, hearing him scream, until he literally cried and screamed himself to sleep. That hurt my heart because I didn't experience that, but seeing so much of it, it makes me want to adopt children to give them that love, to actually care for them. Because so many children, again, don't have that. They don't grow up with it. So they grow up holding on to trauma. They grow up not knowing how to care for anybody. They grow up not knowing how to love. And it's a sad thing because one day they're going to have children and they're not going to know how to love and care for a child. Even though they may not give the abuse, that child is not going to have that bond. That child is not going to know that love. So, you know, I really wish I was in the position to buy a mansion and be financially set for life. Oh, my phone went into low battery. Great. Um, I wish I had the means to take care of as many children as I could. It's really hurtful because it's passed on from generations. It's like that generational curse. The parent didn't grow up with the love and care. They have kids and they pass that on. And then those kids pass it on. So since I can't have the social workers investigate it, I will be that kid's voice. I will do battle for these children. I don't care. I will do battle for them to make them heard. There are so many kids that have been silenced, and nobody, well, not nobody, but a lot of people aren't doing what is in the best interest of these children. And so many kids get put out of an adoptive home and they don't say anything to the social worker because they're getting money, they're getting benefits. Nobody's, and the child doesn't say anything because they don't want to go through that again, which I can understand. Or so many kids that are born and the parents keep them still go through that. And then they reach an age where they've had enough and they run away to fend for themselves, to live on the street, to not have a safe place to be where they're loved and cared for. But yet, when we're in our cars and we're driving past them, we say, oh, they must be on drugs. They must be alcoholics. There must be something wrong with them. That is not always the case. Can it be the case? Yes, because they're trying to numb themselves from that trauma. I knew somebody that lied on her mother, saying that her mother beat her, stabbed her. I mean, and then her husband or then fiance sexually abused her. No, he didn't. No, she didn't. I was there. I spent many summers pretty much at her house day and night. And God rest her mother's soul. Because when she met me and she really got to know me, she called me her son. When she was dating her husband, because she loved me and cared for me as her son, he called me his son. And it's it, it's amazing how she already had her two daughters. She never had a son. So she called me her son. And for them both to accept me as their son, even though my mom was a few 100 feet away. We lived on the same property. I was their son. Her mom trusted me with her car, being in her home, being around, her money. I never damaged her home. I never stole from her. I did not wreck her car. I did not do anything to her or regarding her that I would not do to my mother. And after all these years before she passed, she still called me her son. That is the type of love and care that these children need to progress in life. A lot of kids, yes, have gotten past it, have gotten over it, but there are some kids that have grown up into adulthood that can't get past it. They can't. And it's stifling them now in their adult years because of what was done to them as a child or a teenager. Or they have run away from where they were living because it became too much. I understand that. I can respect them wanting to get away from it. But for them to not have a bed to sleep in, food to eat, a roof over their head, you know, constant love. A child will love your parent unconditionally. But at the same time, are you giving that same love and care to that child? All the crap I've done in my teens and early 20s to my family, I still have that unconditional love. Did they like what I did? No. Did they still love me? Yes. Do I regret doing what I did? Absolutely. But I had to find myself. I was trying to process and deal with losing my grandmother. And I didn't know how to process or deal with it. So I did the best I could. And being a parent does not come with an instruction manual. Being a parent, you don't have all the answers. Being a parent, you can't know the future. Some people can. I'm just saying, some people can. But you don't know what's coming down the line. Good parents worry about their children day in, day out, every day, every week, every month, every year, even after they've reached adulthood. Even to this day, my mom tells me and my brother, be safe. I love you. And she doesn't have to do that. We're grown. And whatever situation is going on, if she doesn't like the situation, if she does not like the way we're treated, she does voice her opinion. Even when I was in a relationship that was toxic and I couldn't see it because I was going through it. It made my mother angry. And looking back at it now, I see why. I see clearly why it made her angry. But yet I had to go through it to really know what I won't deal with. There are situations that parents or adults that have children just for benefits will have to go through. And it's up to the adult to see it through. You can't just adopt a baby or a small child and pretend Because when that child grows up, it's going to show, and they're going to feel it. Even as a child, they're going to feel that resentment. They're going to feel and learn that they're just there for a check to benefit you. When you have to come out of pocket to do for a child, you get an attitude and you do the bare minimum just so you won't lose the benefits of being an adoptive parent. Again, I say, I wish I was in the financial position to buy a mansion and be financially set for the rest of my life. I would adopt as many children as I could. I would make sure they all have their own rooms, they all have food to eat, they all are loved equally. You can't love one child and resent the other. You're going to drive a wedge between them, and they will grow up hating each other because of that wedge that you put there. To have a child or to have children, you have to be willing to put your wants in your ass and do everything in your power and then some to take care of your children. I wish my son would have lived. I would be I would be a beast to do everything in my power to make sure he's happy, he's loved, he's cherished. He is still a gift because he gave me something that I didn't know I needed. My son gave me something I didn't know I was missing. And it's not my family's fault. It's not. It has nothing to do with my family. It was me. Because my sperm donor was so scared of my grandmother that he was a distant memory. I saw him here and there, but he came around because of my mother. I just happened to be his offspring, one of his plethora. I don't know his other children. I've looked for them because I wanted to know them. I mean, all you have to do is look for me. I'm not hiding. Hi, here I am. I don't even know their names. Imagine that. This has got to be one of the most hurtful videos I've had to do. Well, not had to do, but that I've done in a very long time. Because I felt the need to get this out. And I'll probably add to the description to get it out there. And I'm not doing this for likes. I'm not doing it for followers or subscribers. I'm not. This is what I believe in my heart. Children don't deserve to be punished because an adult has an attitude, because an adult has certain things for children. And we all know what I'm talking about there. This is a platform I cannot elaborate on, but we all know what I'm talking about. These children need a voice. And these schools, these schools And the school staff, 9 times out of 10, aren't worth the floor they walk on. I've seen it. I've heard it. I've heard a teacher talking to another teacher at a school I was going to that was telling this other teacher how a student went to her and said that there are nights that he went to sleep having to sleep on the floor without having dinner, without having a shower. This kid had no toothbrush and could only use toothpaste and his finger to brush his teeth. The school did nothing. Now, I was under the impression that a school would have to bring in a social worker because that would be in the best interest of the child. And with that being said, bringing in a social worker to a school to investigate the child's living situation, what that social worker would have to investigate the child's living situation. That's the impression I was under. But I see that's not the case anymore. So it's like children have become a financial gain. It's like these children have just become a beneficial financial gain, but also a burden. Like I said earlier, I don't have a problem being the one that fights your battles. I don't have a problem with being your voice. I don't have a problem for fighting for children. I don't have a problem with it. Again, I've never gone through that. I'm very thankful for that. But I'm sorry. This is such a difficult video for me because I know someone, again, that adopted children and he loves them all unconditionally as his own. We've been in communication and he has cried because he doesn't know why his son is acting out. And I told him, a few times a week or on the weekends, you and your son take a drive somewhere. Just the two of you. Go hang out with him. Do things with him to give him or to show him that he is loved. Show him that. Because he may have gone through something before you adopted him that has stuck with him already. He may be dealing with something at school that he's not talking to you about because he's scared of what you might do, which is understandable. But I've even checked in on him. Not to be nosy, but to give him my friend an outlet to try and give him some advice because I've been one of those kids that went through a lot of bullshit in school. So I have a good idea of what that child could be facing in school that he's not verbalizing at home. And keeping things like that internal will constantly eat at you and wear you down. For me, it built up a lot of anger, a lot of resentment towards children my age. I became very violent towards these kids. And once I reached a level of rage, I turned everything back on them. I literally made these kids physically sick because I would not stop verbally attacking them. You want to attack me verbally? You wanted to tease me because I didn't. Oh. You wanted to tease me because I didn't fit in with your crew, your standards, or your likes or whatever. I made these kids physically sick with my words, and I felt nothing. I legit felt nothing because I turned what they were doing to me against them. And I remember this girl at an elementary school I was going to. Lord, that feels good. Her and her friend, Kimberly, would always call me names. And at school, I never cried. When I went home, my anger would show. So one day, I just got fed up. I got fed up completely. My fed up meter was beyond capacity. And I ripped into her. And then her friend Kimberly tried to step in and stop me. And I turned my sights to her. Now, Alyssa was sitting on the ground crying because I just went in. And then Kimberly tried to go in on me. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. And eventually they stopped. They stopped calling me names. They kept calling me names and throwing things at me even after that. So I did it again. And this time I went harder. I never said anything to any of the teachers. I never said anything to any other students. I never said anything to my mom. I just didn't. Because I could handle it. And I did. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I did. Yes, sir. Okay, I handled it. But when I got to junior high, I had multiple kids that were doing the same thing and trying to make me cry and try to break me. I'm not going to lie. At first, I was getting down. I was just like, what the fuck? What in the whole natural fuck? But then, again, my fed up meter was beyond capacity. Beyond. And one day, I just lost it. I beat a kid really bad. And I threw a desk at another one. I threw my history book. Now, my history book was like this thick in junior high. This thick. I threw it evenly with this part. So if he ducked, I would hit all of this. And didn't care. I mean, I had many classes with these kids. And they would take turns shooting staples at me with a mechanical pencil. Okay. We're shooting staples. Gotcha. My brother, before I got to that school, he made a rubber band shooter. Man, I would go around each classroom I had, and I'm collecting those thick rubber bands. Okay, them thick ones. And I would load that rubber band shooter. Pop! I said, you want to keep messing with me? You want to keep fucking with me? Pop! And I wouldn't go for their body. I'd go for that face. The kid I threw a desk at, knocked the hell out of him. That kid I threw my history book at, knocked the hell out of him. My teacher at the time, Miss Burke, put me out the classroom. I was getting put out of classrooms left and right because I got fed up. There was a day I was in math class, and this kid wouldn't stop balling paper up and throwing it at the back of my head. Okay. I stood the hell up, and I said, throw one more thing at me. I will beat the hell out of you right here in the middle of this classroom. He grabbed that piece of paper out of his notebook, balled it up. I said, I fucking dare you. And I meant that. He drew back. I said, let it go. Let it fly. And he let that water paper fly. And I flew over that desk. I'm sorry, not the desk, but we had tables because we had math and science in the same classroom. I flew over that table. I was like Undertaker. He flew over that top rope. I flew over that table. Landed right on him with my hands around his neck. Little pencil neck too. And I was just bashing his head into the floor. And my teacher, Mr. Kerstitch, pulled me up by my shirt. I kicked him right in his stomach. I got put out that class too. And I was in OCS, on campus suspension, for 2 weeks. They tried to suspend me, and my mom said, okay, you want to suspend my son for defending himself and standing up for himself? I'm going to take him out the school. And she did. She enrolled me in a school before she took me out of that school. And that school is Charles Evans Hughes Middle School. Yes, it is. And right as she was taking me out of Hughes, I already had homework from the other school. And in this school, this dude tried to go in on me. That was a mistake because I took my shoes off and I threw them at his head. Yes, I did. I felt shit about that too. Nothing did I feel. So my mom took me out of that school. So I was in another school, but I had like a week and a half, 2-week break from school. I needed it. So in this last school, I was good. Like nobody messed with me. Nobody bothered me. And I excelled at this school. I was doing so well. I was getting letters from colleges for me to RSVP. I got accepted into one college, but since it was so far away, I couldn't go. That hurt. But later on in life, I went through 4 years of college while working a full-time job and doing full-time courses, which I had 3 majors. And that went well. But because I didn't have the money to take the state final, I didn't get my license for those majors. But my credits are still valid. I became a part of the college alumni, which I still didn't pick up my alumni plate. I don't want that on my car. It's blue and yellow. Neither one of my cars are blue. I'm just saying. Um, every now and then they send me a letter. Hey, your alumni plate is still here. Your credits are still valid. Your balance owed to the school is 0. You are more than welcome to.
Remy, I'm at 5%.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but my phone just snitched on me. It said it's at 5%. Oops. I'm almost done. Um, I could re enroll in that school. Right now is not the time, although I need to, because I need that boost to keep going. And this time I have the money to take the state exams. And I was good at my triple major. I mean, I took that with stride and grace. Um, but anyway, that's what I want these kids to do. I want them to be encouraged, empowered. I want them to be able to excel and succeed in life. Not be so beat down and depressed and stifled that they just go through the motions, that they turn to drugs and drinking to try and numb the past trauma. And again, I will say this until I'm blue in the face, and that's going to take some doing. Um, I will fight their battles. I will be their voice. I will fight these people for them. I will be an ear for them. You can message me on Instagram. What is my Instagram name? I haven't used Instagram in so long. It's just like, I mean, you can find me, um, like yeah, like this. That's how you find me. I'm trying to get it to show. It says Remy LeBeau. That's how you find me. That's my name, Remy LeBeau. Or Petty.Corp. That's how you find me. Message me. I don't care what's going on. Find a way to message me. I will be your voice. I will be whatever you need me to be to give you that love, to give you that voice, that strength. You can even email me. JOHNZAKARAH at sorry, at AOL.com. Or, you can use my other email, which is connected to my YouTube channel and I believe Instagram at ZAKARAH. That's Z as in zebra, AKARAH at gmail.com. Or AOL, JOHNZAKARAH at AOL. Find me on Instagram. Leave me comments. Give me a way to reach out to you. Or, you can reach out to me. I don't care. But I will be that champion for you. I will even, I'll talk to or message anybody that has gone through that type of trauma, just for you to get it out, just for you to be able to have a safe place to kind of let go. I don't care if you need to yell, scream, cry. I got you. Everybody needs strength. at some point in life. Everybody. I don't care how strong you think you are, how strong you are, your background, your nationality, I don't care. I don't care about your gender. We all need someone, something at some point in life. I did. I still do. I'm not going to let you give up. Real quick, one of my friends that passed away day before my birthday, her son and I communicate because he's going through a lot. He's dealt with a trauma, or traumas, should I say, that he's having a hard time in his nearly adult life. And I'm trying to get him on a path to where he can succeed. And it's hard because he fights me a lot. And I'm just like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up on him. I'm not. I told my friend before she passed, if he ever needs me, I'm here. But yeah, please protect these kids, shield them from the trauma. I thank you in advance and encourage these kids, love them, empower them. Now my phone is at 2%. This video is long enough. So I will say good night, good morning, and I hope this video helps some people.